Imagine walking into your financial advisor's office. You have a paid off house, $2 million invested, Social Security, a pension, no debt. You ask one simple question: can I finally relax? Instead of saying yes, they pull out another chart, another risk, another projection, another reason to worry. And when you leave, you somehow feel less secure than when you walked in. Why? Because fear is one of the most powerful products in the retirement industry. For decades, Americans have been told that retirement is about reaching one magic number: $1 million, 2 million, 3 million. The exact number changes depending on who you ask, but the message stays the same. Keep saving, keep preparing, keep working just a little longer. And once you finally reach that number, that's when you'll feel safe. That's when you'll be able to breathe. That's when you'll finally enjoy everything you've worked for. But here's something strange: millions of retirees who have already reached those numbers still don't feel financially secure. They've done everything they were told to do. They stayed disciplined. They invested consistently. They avoided unnecessary debt. They sacrificed vacations, skipped purchases, worked overtime, delayed retirement. And yet, instead of feeling free, they're still worried, still checking their account balances, still wondering whether they can afford dinner out, still hesitating before booking the trip they've dreamed about for decades. So today, I want to ask a different question. What if the problem isn't your retirement? What if the problem is the business built around making you believe you're never quite ready? Before we go any further, it's important to be fair. This isn't an attack on financial advisors. Many advisors genuinely care about their clients. Many have helped families avoid serious financial mistakes. Planning matters. Risk management matters. Good advice matters. But industries also develop incentives, and sometimes those incentives shape the way problems are presented. Because if your job is helping people prepare for uncertainty, there's always another uncertainty to prepare for. Meet Richard. He's 68 years old. He retired 3 years ago after spending 4 decades working as an engineer. He's exactly the kind of person most retirement planning books celebrate. He paid off his mortgage. He avoided high interest debt. He consistently contributed to his retirement accounts. He rarely tried to time the market. Instead, he invested steadily through recessions, bull markets, crashes, and recoveries. Today, his investment portfolio is worth just over $1.8 million. He also receives Social Security. He has a modest pension. His annual spending averages around $70,000. On paper, Richard looks financially secure. Many retirement models would suggest that his probability of running out of money is relatively low. Yet every year, he leaves his advisor's office feeling uneasy. The conversation usually starts well. His investments have performed reasonably. His income covers his expenses. His emergency fund remains intact. Everything appears stable. Then the discussion changes. What if inflation stays higher than expected? What if healthcare costs explode? What if markets decline for the next decade? What if taxes increase? What if interest rates change? What if you live to 100? Each question is reasonable. Each possibility is real. None of them are imaginary. The future is uncertain. That's simply true. But here's what happens when every annual review revolves around everything that could possibly go wrong. Retirement slowly stops feeling like a reward. It starts feeling like a problem that has to be managed every single day. Richard begins second guessing ordinary decisions. He postpones replacing the aging roof, even though he can likely afford it. He cancels vacations, not because he doesn't want to travel, but because he wonders if he'll need that money 20 years from now. His grandchildren ask if he'll come visit during the summer. He says maybe next year. His wife suggests finally taking that trip through Europe they've discussed for decades. He tells her they'd better wait until markets recover. Next year becomes the year after that. And then another year passes. What's important to understand is that nobody lied to Richard. Nobody fabricated risks. Inflation exists. Market crashes happen. Healthcare expenses can rise dramatically. People are living longer than previous generations. Those are legitimate planning considerations. The issue isn't that these risks are discussed. The issue is what happens when they're the only things discussed. Because our brains naturally pay more attention to threats than opportunities. Psychologists call this negativity bias. From an evolutionary perspective, focusing on danger helped human beings survive. Missing a threat could be fatal. Missing a pleasant opportunity usually wasn't. That instinct still shapes the way we think today, especially when money is involved. Losses hurt more than equivalent gains feel good. Many people experience the pain of losing $100 much more intensely than the satisfaction of gaining $100. Now imagine applying that emotional tendency to retirement. Instead of asking, how can I make the most of the years ahead? The question quietly becomes, how do I make absolutely sure nothing bad ever happens? At first glance, that sounds responsible. After all, retirement doesn't come with a reset button. Most people won't have another 40 years of employment to rebuild their savings. Caution makes sense, but caution can gradually become something else. It can become permanent hesitation. Permanent hesitation has consequences, not just financial ones, human ones, because every year spent waiting is a year that never comes back. Richard isn't unique. In fact, if you've ever spoken with retirees, you've probably met someone just like him. Someone with enough money to live comfortably, yet who still acts as though every purchase is dangerous. Someone who feels guilty spending money they've spent their entire life earning. Someone who says things like, we'll wait until next year. We'll see what the market does. Let's just be careful. Those phrases sound harmless. Sometimes they are. Sometimes waiting is the right decision. But sometimes those words become a habit, and habits quietly shape an entire retirement. That's where the conversation becomes much bigger than one advisor, or one client, or one portfolio. Because Richard's story reflects something happening across the retirement landscape. An entire culture has developed around preparing people for financial danger. The question is, what happens when preparation never feels complete? The retirement industry doesn't really sell certainty. It sells protection from uncertainty. Think about the advertisements you see. Will your money last? Are you making this costly retirement mistake? The retirement crisis. Don't outlive your savings. Protect everything you've worked for. Those headlines aren't accidental. They capture attention because they tap into one of our strongest emotions, fear. If someone tells you everything is probably going to be fine, you might nod and move on. But if someone suggests that one mistake could cost you your entire retirement, you'll probably keep reading. That's human nature. Fear grabs our attention faster than reassurance ever could. Again, that doesn't mean every financial advisor is trying to keep clients afraid. Many advisors sincerely want to protect the people they serve. They've seen retirees suffer through market crashes. They've watched clients face unexpected medical bills. They've helped widows and widowers rebuild financial confidence after losing a spouse. Those experiences naturally make advisors cautious. In many cases, that caution benefits their clients. But industries also respond to incentives. People who feel uncertain are more likely to seek advice, more likely to buy insurance, more likely to subscribe to newsletters, more likely to attend seminars, more likely to purchase products promising greater security. The more uncertain retirement feels, the more valuable protection appears. That's not necessarily manipulation. It's simply how incentives often work. The challenge is making sure fear doesn't become the entire conversation, because retirement isn't only about avoiding disaster. It's also about living well. Research has consistently found something surprising. Many retirees spend significantly less than they could safely afford. Economists even have a name for this phenomenon: the retirement spending puzzle. For years, researchers expected retirees to gradually spend the savings they had accumulated during their working lives. Instead, many households barely reduced their wealth at all. Some even continued growing their portfolios well into retirement. When researchers looked more closely, they found several reasons. Some people wanted to leave an inheritance. Some simply enjoyed saving, but many others shared something else. They were afraid. Afraid of living longer than expected, afraid of needing expensive long-term care, afraid of another financial crisis, afraid of becoming dependent on their children, afraid of making one irreversible mistake. Those fears aren't irrational. Healthcare costs can be unpredictable. Longevity keeps increasing. Markets occasionally experience severe declines. Inflation can reduce purchasing power over time. These risks deserve careful planning. Ignoring them would be irresponsible. But there's another risk that often receives far less attention: the cost of never allowing yourself to enjoy the financial security you've already built. Imagine spending 40 years climbing a mountain. You finally reach the summit. Instead of looking at the view, you immediately start worrying about whether the ground beneath your feet might someday shift. You never actually enjoy arriving. That's how retirement feels for many people. Financial independence becomes another source of anxiety instead of relief. The irony is difficult to ignore. Many retirees are incredibly successful at protecting money, but much less successful at allowing that money to improve their lives. Money is a tool, not the destination. Its purpose isn't simply to exist inside an investment account. Its purpose is to support the life you want to live. That doesn't mean spending recklessly. It doesn't mean ignoring risks. It doesn't mean buying everything you want. It means understanding the difference between thoughtful caution and fear that quietly controls every decision. Because those two things aren't the same. One protects your future, the other prevents you from enjoying your present. Perhaps the greatest irony in retirement planning is this: the biggest retirement risk isn't always running out of money. Sometimes it's running out of time. The vacation you postponed, the family reunion you plan to attend someday, the national parks you wanted to visit, the cruise you kept delaying, the hobby you promised yourself you'd finally pursue after retirement, the afternoons with grandchildren who eventually grow up, the healthy years you assumed would always be waiting for you. None of us knows exactly how much time we have. That's true whether your portfolio is worth $200,000 or $2 million. Life doesn't guarantee perfect timing. Many retirees spend decades preparing financially for retirement. Far fewer spend time preparing emotionally for what retirement is supposed to look like. Without realizing it, they continue living under the same mindset they developed while working. Delay gratification, save more, spend less, wait. That mindset helped build their wealth. But the habits that create financial independence aren't always the same habits that create a fulfilling retirement. Sometimes the hardest transition isn't leaving your job. It's giving yourself permission to use the resources you spent a lifetime building. A good financial advisor understands this balance. They don't simply calculate probabilities. They help clients make decisions that align with their values. They explain risks honestly, but they also explain opportunities honestly. They don't only ask how to preserve wealth, they ask what that wealth is meant to accomplish. They recognize that every financial decision is ultimately connected to a human life. The best advisors don't promise certainty because certainty doesn't exist. Instead, they help clients make informed decisions despite uncertainty. That's a very different goal. So the next time someone tells you to save just a little more, or delay retirement just one more year, or postpone that meaningful experience again, consider asking a different question. What evidence would convince you that I'm finally ready? It's a simple question, but it reveals something important. If there is a clear answer, then you're discussing a measurable financial goal. If there is no answer, if the target keeps moving, if every milestone simply creates another reason to wait, then perhaps the problem isn't your retirement plan. Perhaps it's the mindset surrounding it, because at some point, preparing for life has to become living it. Otherwise, preparation never ends. And retirement becomes one long exercise in protecting a future that eventually runs out of tomorrows. If this video made you think differently about retirement, I'd like to hear from you. What financial advice have you followed for years that you're beginning to question? Share your thoughts in the comments. Someone else reading them may realize they're not the only one asking the same questions. And remember this: building wealth is an extraordinary achievement. Protecting it is important. Planning wisely matters. But sometimes the most valuable investment isn't earning one more dollar. It's having the confidence to spend the ones you've already earned on the life you worked so hard to create.